Welcome back to Antibles. We've gone to the market very fearful of Russia possibly attacking Ukraine. I'm going to go over exactly what Biden is about to say here. I'm going to watch it with you guys so you guys can see exactly what he does say, how the market reacts to the 1 minute chart, and what we're looking for to have a bounce back here. What exact levels are we trying to hold above? And if we do continue on down with an increase in volume to the downside, what exactly my price target would be. Again, we are looking for that bounce on the larger time frames to get more intraday perspective breakouts like we have been from the bounce that we had leading into Jerome Powell previously. And all I ask in return is you smash that like button, and I do welcome you to the Instables room in the description below. We mention pre-market news before market open every single day. Any breakout that is worth looking at throughout the day, go to instables.com in the description below, and you will never miss a breakout like that again. Or just subscribe so you guys can see all my daily updates on exactly how I play into the market every single day and what exactly my game plan is every single day. Let's jump into this one. So again, as you guys can see, Biden is just about to be live soon. We're going to see exactly what he has to say so we can see exactly where the market might head. And again, we do have news that could happen over the weekend. I will be going over another market update on Sunday, of course, as always. All right, here comes Biden right here. We'll see what he has to say.
Good afternoon. Today, I made two vital calls, as I've been making for some months now. Two vital calls that on the situation in Russia and Ukraine. The first was to a bipartisan group of members of Congress who are currently representing the United States, along with Vice President Harris at the Munich Security Conference. The second was the latest in a series of calls over the past many months with the heads of state of our NATO allies and the European Union, bringing them up to date on what the United States thinks is the current state of affairs and what's likely to happen in Ukraine in the coming days to ensure that we continue to remain in lockstep, that is, the European Union and NATO. Despite Russia's efforts to divide us at home and abroad, I can affirm that has not happened. The overwhelming message of on both calls was one of unity, determination, and resolve. I shared with all of those on the calls what we know about a rapidly escalating crisis in Ukraine. Over the last few days, we've seen reports of a major uptick in violations of the ceasefire by Russian-backed fighters attempting to provoke Ukraine in the Donbass. For example, a shelling of a Ukrainian kindergarten yesterday, which Russia has falsely asserted was carried out by Ukraine. We also continue to see more and more disinformation being pushed out to the Russian public, including Russian-backed separatists, claiming that Ukraine is planning to launch a massive offensive attack in the Donbass. Well, look, there is simply no evidence of these assertions, and it defies basic logic to believe the Ukrainians would choose this moment with well over 150,000 troops arrayed on its borders to escalate a year-long conflict. Russia's state media also continues to make phony allegations of a genocide taking place in the Donbass and push fabricated claims warning about Ukraine's attack on Russia without any evidence. That's just what I'm sure Ukraine's thinking of doing, attacking Russia. All these are consistent with the playbook the Russians have used before to set up a false justification to act against Ukraine. This is also in line with the pretext scenarios that the United States and our allies and partners have been warning about for weeks. Throughout these tense moments, the Ukrainian forces have shown great judgment and, I might add, restraint. They refused to allow the Russians to bait them into war. But the fact remains, Russian troops currently have Ukraine surrounded from Belarus along the Russian border with Ukraine to the Black Sea in the south and all of its border. Look, we have reason to believe the Russian forces are planning to and intend to attack Ukraine in the coming week, in the coming days. We believe that they will target Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, a city of 2.8 million innocent people. We're calling out Russia's plans loudly and repeatedly, not because
you guys can see we're reacting here,
but because we're doing
to the possible attack
to remove any reason that Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving. Make no mistake, if Russia pursues its plans, it will be responsible for a catastrophic and needless war of choice. The United States and our allies are prepared to defend every inch of NATO territory from any threat to our collective security as well. We also will not send troops in to fight in Ukraine, but we will continue to support the Ukrainian people. This past year, the United States provided a record amount of security assistance to Ukraine to bolster its defensive, $650 million from Javelin missiles to ammunition. We also previously provided $500 million in Ukraine and humanitarian aid and economic support for Ukraine. And earlier this week, we also announced an additional sovereign loan guarantee of up to $1 billion to strengthen Ukraine's economic resilience. But the bottom line is this: the United States and our allies and partners will support the Ukrainian people. We will hold Russia accountable for its actions. The West is united and resolved. We're ready to impose severe sanctions on Russia if it further invades Ukraine. But I say again, Russia can still choose diplomacy. It is not too late to de-escalate and return to the negotiating table. Last night, Russia agreed that Secretary of State Blinken and Foreign Minister Lavrov should meet on February 24th in Europe. But if Russia takes military action before that date, it will be clear that they have slammed the door shut on diplomacy. They will have chosen war, and they will pay a steep price for doing so, not only from the sanctions that we and our allies will impose on Russia, but the moral outrage the rest of the world will visit upon them. You know, there are many issues that divide our nation and our world, but standing up to Russian aggression is not one of them. The American people are united. Europe is united. The transatlantic community is united. Our political parties in this country are united. The entire free world is united. Russia has a choice between war and all the suffering it will bring, or diplomacy that will make a future safer for everyone. Now, I'm happy to take a few questions. Nancy from Bloomberg.
Thank you so much, sir. Do you think that it is wise for President Zelensky to leave Ukraine if an invasion is as imminent as the U.S. says it is?
That's a judgment for him to make, and a determination as to whether or not. I've spoken with Zelensky a dozen times, maybe more, I don't know. And,
You don't know.
and it's in the pursuit of a diplomatic solution, it may not be it may be the wise choice. But it's his decision.
And do you have any indication about whether President Putin has made a decision on whether to invade? Do you feel confident that he hasn't made that decision already?
As of this moment, I'm convinced he's made the decision. We have reason to believe that.
He thinks he's made the decision that he's going to attack. We got a pullback because of that. He believes he's going to attack. He did say that before, but he said it again. So it's not an overreaction, but we are getting a reaction.
Yes. There will be some slight differences, but there'll be more add-ons than subtractions.
And President Putin is going to oversee some nuclear drills this weekend. How do you see that happen? What's your reaction to that, sir? Thank you.
Well, I don't think he is remotely contemplating using nuclear weapons, but I do think I think he is focused on trying to convince the world that he has the ability to change the dynamics in Europe in a way that he cannot. But I don't. How much of it is a cover for just saying we're just doing exercises, and there's more than that? I just can't. It's hard to read his mind.
To be clear, you are convinced that President Putin is going to invade Ukraine. Is that what you just said a few moments ago?
Yes, I did. Yes.
So, what reason do you have to believe he's considering that option at all?
We have a significant intelligence capability. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So to recap with you guys again, he mentions that it's his decision, and then shortly after he gets asked, do you believe that he's actually made this decision?
And do you have any indication about whether President Putin has made a decision on whether to invade? Do you feel confident that he hasn't made that decision already?
As of this moment, I'm convinced he's made the decision.
So right after, you can hear the girl shout here on just how badly she really wants to hear if he really just said that Putin is going to attack. Is he convinced that he's going to attack?
To be clear, you are convinced that President Putin is going to invade Ukraine. Is that what you just said a few moments
Yes,
ago?
I did. Yes.
So he's convinced. He said it twice. Now, what makes us think that this may or may not be true? Well, you can see what he says at the very end here.
Is diplomacy off the table then?
No. Until he does, diplomacy is always a possibility.
What reason do you have to believe he's considering that option at all?
What reason does Biden have that he will actually attack Ukraine?
We have a significant intelligence capability. Thank you.
A significant intelligence capability, meaning that he could possibly have data on Russia attacking Ukraine very soon, and this could be actually happening. I really don't want it to happen, of course, but we're going to look at how the market reacted here on the 1 minute chart again, so you guys can see how we're digesting going to extended hours. As you guys can see, we dropped down below our levels. I'm trying to digest, testing this level one more time here, and then continuing on down on a pullback. As you guys can see now, we are testing our lows of the day. We are not dropping below it quite yet, but again, if we do have bad news on Russia, then in my opinion, we could continue on down here. So again, going back to the larger time frames, so you guys can see we're looking for to have a bounce here. Again, here on the 4-hour chart, as you guys can see, we have our possible bear flag that could be playing out here down to the 415 level that we mentioned. And as you guys can see here at that 415 level, we had consolidation within this level. We had multiple overreactions. At this level, we had rejections to the upside. When we did continue on past it, we did continue on up. We came back down and retested this level multiple times. So if we do continue on down, my price target would be here at 415. Again, we do have a last level that we mentioned previously at 422 that we bounced off of. So if we do not hold our 422 level, then in my opinion, we will test 415. Again, this will be predicated on major news that could come out with Russia in the next few days. If there's no news over the weekend, then that might turn into a possible bounce. We'll see what happens. But again, just wanted to go over that momentum with you guys. My price target here would be 415 on the larger time frames. And again, the reason why I look for this bounce here is because from an intraday perspective breakout, again, all the breakouts that we mentioned in the Inspo Zoom throughout the day, it is very much predicated on bounces on the larger time frames to get those intraday perspective breakouts, just like we had here leading into POW. A lot of fear, a lot of consolidation here and indecisiveness. We had a lot of chop here, but when we did have this rally, then we did have major breakouts throughout that time. Again, just looking for these bounces from an intraday perspective breakout. For swings, I would say a little risky until Russia does cool things off with Ukraine. And for longs, I would say there's no rush. You could be having more discounts, or if we do have a bounce back, then in my opinion, you still will have a ton of discounts to play on the way up. But again, just looking for a bounce here on these levels, playing each level at a time. And again, if you happen to be interested in intraday perspective breakouts, I mentioned pre-market news before market open every single day. Any breakout that is worth looking at throughout the day, go to instables.com in the description below. And for as much as you taking me out to lunch, you guys get to see every single breakout that I mentioned throughout the day. And again, everybody that has been supporting the channel, all of you instables that have been coming over and supporting the channel, I appreciate every one of you guys. Much love to every one of you guys. And again, if you guys do like this video, it does help with the fun and it does help the channel grow. And I do appreciate it very much. And again, God bless you all. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's SOS video or on Sunday night countdown. I'm going to go over exactly how I plan on playing into the market. So I'll see you guys in the next video.